Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar for Making Tax Digital for Income Tax. Today's session is going to be all about the changes in legislation set out by HMRC on how sole traders and landlords are going to report on their income and expenses. We're here today to support you on that journey, provide guidance based on what HMRC has set out, but in a more simplified way. Today's webinar is going to be more in depth than top level, but not as detailed as our online course where you can earn a digital badge. But I'm going to talk about more about this later on in the session. The questions panel will be open today. So I've got Laura times 2, so I've got 2 Lauras, and I've got Sikandar as well. If you can hang fire on the questions till towards the end, just in case it's something that we do cover in the session, as we have got a lot to cover. And we might not be able to answer every single question that comes through today. So don't worry if you don't get an answer live. We will try and reach out to you via email after the webinar has ended. So this session is going to last approximately 45 minutes, and you will receive a link to the recording of today's session in your follow-up email. You'll get that around an hour after the session has ended. So don't worry if you don't catch everything first time round. I know there's going to be a lot of information for you to absorb. So there's going to be a chance for you to be able to revisit the session at your own pace. One last thing I want to make you aware of is that this is not going to be a product demonstration today. This session is purely all about legislation. However, we will be briefly talking about what product solutions we have for you. There is a HMRC beta in place at the moment, and specifically for our Sage accounting product. But again, I'm going to explain how to and where to register for that towards the end of the session. My name is Abby, and I'm going to be your host for today. I'm a learning facilitator here at Sage, and I've been here nearly 5 years now. So today I'm going to take you through that Making Tax Digital for Income Tax and what it could mean for you. So some of you may have attended our webinars before. Some of you may be new, so I'll just go through a little bit of housekeeping. So when you join, you will be placed on mute automatically. If you wish to ask any questions, then you can click on the icon that looks like a little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. That's going to open up that questions panel. Don't forget to click on the blue send button to send your questions across to us as well. To download a copy of today's handout, then click the icon that looks like a little document with the folded corner. It's just underneath the questions panel. We always recommend downloading this handout. It's going to have clickable links to certain areas that you can go only get on this handout, and it won't be available after the session has ended. Okay. Please note again, this session is recorded and it's going to be included in your follow-up email for those who are just joining us now. And you are going to receive that email around an hour after the session has ended. Okay, so let's get stuck in. So this is what we're going to be covering in today's webinar. So we're going to start by introducing Making Tax Digital when it was first introduced. We'll then look at who will be impacted and when, and the different thresholds. We'll also look at what are the requirements. We've broken it down into 3 sections, so recording, submitting quarterly reports, and final adjustments in your tax return. We'll delve into the digital records and the quarterly updates and what you can expect to provide to HMRC. We'll then look at key dates for submissions and deadlines. And then lastly, we'll look at ways and means in which you can plan and prepare what actions you need to take. So what is Making Tax Digital for Income Tax? Well, firstly, Making Tax Digital is also known as MTD, and it was introduced in 2019 for VAT. But it's 7 years later, in April 26, when arguably one of the biggest changes is set to arrive. MTD for income tax will affect millions of sole traders and landlords. Now, it's going to be introduced in stages, and we're going to come on to that in just a sec, but you may have more time than you think. However, we are encouraging you to prepare now, so when the time comes, you already have your ducks in a row. So who and when? The criteria for MTD for income tax is sole traders and landlords with UK and or foreign property and also shared ownership of properties. If you are a sole trader with multiple businesses, then it will be the combined income of those businesses that will determine if you cross the threshold. Now, you could be both a sole trader and a landlord, so therefore it is the combined income before expenses. A key point to note here is that if you get any income from a jointly owned property, it is just your share of the property income that will count towards your qualifying income. So phase 1 is based off those earning over £50,000 a year. Phase 2 is those earning over £30,000 a year. And phase 3 is over 20,000. So you might be wondering, well, when are these phases happening? So anyone earning over 50,000 a year before expenses will need to comply with MTD for income tax from 6th of April 2026. For those earning over 30,000 will need to comply by the 6th of April 2027, and then by those earning over 20,000 by April 28. That's when you'll need to comply by 6th of April 2028. The scope of who is impacted by legislation has also slightly changed. For if you have heard all about this beforehand, HMRC decided income from partnerships no longer counts towards qualifying income. So just a little recap, who and when. So it is the combined turnover of income before expenses. It is for self-employed and property, UK and foreign. And lastly, one key thing to mention, qualifying income is assessed 2 tax years before the tax year in question. So for example, for phase 1 starting in April 2026, your income from 24-25 is going to be assessed. So that's how you are assessed on whether you will qualify for April 2026. And then, the same again for April 2027, you'll be assessed 25-26, so on and so forth. So let's take a look at some scenarios based on some incomes. And we're going to do these scenarios based on phase 1, which is earning over 50,000. So I'm going to launch each scenario on your screen, and you just simply have to answer simply yes or no, whether you think the individual will have to comply with MTD for income tax. Don't worry if you get the answer wrong. It's just a little bit of fun, just to try to test your knowledge a little bit. So I'm going to launch the first one on your screen there. So based on earning over 50,000 for phase 1, Jenny is a sole trader and has self-employment income of £25,000 a year. Will she need to comply by April 2026? So all I need you to do is answer yes or no what you think the answer is. So will she need to comply by April 2026? So we're just getting those votes in there. We usually wait until we get around 70-75%. So we've got around that now, so don't worry if you haven't voted. We'll close the poll down and then I'll share those results with you. So 4% have answered yes and 96% have answered no. So Jenny will not need to comply with MTD in 2026. However, Jenny will need to comply by 2028. Okay, so the next poll, I'm going to launch the next one. So we'll just hide that down. So the next question Jenny is a sole trader and has self-employment income of 25,000 and rental income from property of 14,000. So will Jenny need to comply by April 2026? So again, pop your answers in there for me, exactly the same. Don't worry if you don't get, it's just if you need to guess, you need to guess, that's fine. Just pop your answers in there for me. So will Jenny need to comply by April 2026? So we can see those votes coming in nice and quickly. So again, we'll still wait until we get around 70-75%. Can see we're nearly at that now, so I'll just give it a little bit more time. Okay, so I've got about 75% there, so I'm just going to close that poll down. Don't worry again if you haven't voted. Okay, so 7% of you have said yes, and 93% of you have said no. So Jenny's total qualifying income is 25,000 plus 14,000, which equals 39,000. So that means that she won't comply by April 2026, but she will need to comply by April 2027, which is over 30,000. Okay, so we'll do the last scenario. So the last scenario is Jenny has self-employment income of 25,000. She's also got that rental income of 14,000. And she has her half of shared ownership of rental income of 13,000. So that's her half of the rental income. So will Jenny need to comply by April 2026 in this scenario? So you can pop your answers in there for me. Simple yes or no. And don't worry, this is the last one I'm doing. So we'll get this one done. So I'm still waiting for some more votes to come in. Again, we're going to wait until we're around 20-25%. 75 is not 25, sorry. You can see they're coming in nice and quickly. So again, just a reminder, 13,000 is her half of the rental income. Okay, so we've got around 75% there. So again, I'm going to close that poll down and I'll share the results with you. Okay, so we've got 84% of you said yes, 16% of you have said no. So if we combine Jenny's income there, so she's got 25,000 plus the 14,000 plus the 13,000, because that's her half of the property. So Jenny's total income is 52,000. So therefore, in this scenario, Jenny would comply by April 2026. And if I pop back to my slides, and if you've got your handout to hand as well, we have got these scenarios in your handout. So then you can revisit these scenarios if you need to. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we've gone through some scenarios of the thresholds. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the requirements. So what is required as part of MTD? So as I mentioned earlier, you can break MTD down for income tax into 3 sections. So we have, firstly, we have the recording of your income and expenses. So if you're already using software, you may already be doing these steps. So in that case, nothing is really changing in that aspect. You just keep recording your transactions. You just need to make sure that you are recording for each business and or property that you own. Secondly, we have the quarterly updates. So these quarterly updates are just going to be the totals for each category, which if you've entered into the software already, they will be calculated and added together for you. So you're not sending HMRC transactional data. And then lastly, we've got the final adjustments and corrections, and then submitting your tax return. So this is called the your end of year process. Although you can make adjustments throughout the year, you may need to check if any final adjustments or you may need to claim any relief. And this can be done at this point. Once all of the checks have been done, you can then submit a final tax return confirming everything that has already been submitted is to the best of your knowledge. So let's have a look at the digital records and quarterly updates explained. So when it comes to processing in the software, you must enter all income and expenses. If you are a sole trader and a landlord, you must keep your property digital records separate from your business digital records. When entering transactions, you must include amount, date, and category. And these categories are set out by HMRC. So the categories could be turnover, cost of goods bought for resale, wages, salaries and other staff costs, and then car, van and travel expenses. So you might be wondering, well, what am I expected to record? So for your self-employment, it will be the likes of sales, takings, fees, cost of stock, travel, office and other financial costs as well. If you own a property, independently or shared, you will be looking at recording rent, lease fees, reverse premiums, inducements, cost of repairs, maintenance and potentially other services. So again, you may already be finding that you're recording all of this information. So this part of the process may be no different for you. Additionally, you can automate some of your processing using something called bank feeds, which already exists in our products such as Sage Accounting and Sage 50 Accounts. And it may be something that you might have heard of. You can use bank feeds rules to automate your transactions as and when they come in from the bank. Now, quarterly updates. So these are a simple summary of income and expenses. It's going to support you and HMRC in understanding your tax and national insurance liability across the year. So what must be in your quarterly update? So your quarterly update will include income and expense category totals for the period, so you're not sending HMRC transactional data. This is the same information that would be provided in the existing self-assessment tax return, but it's now being provided quarterly. Now, don't worry if your data is not completely accurate within these stages, because you can always adjust in the next quarter as the periods are cumulative. Now, you just need to make sure that at the final stage of coming and submitting your tax return, it is as accurate to the best of your knowledge. Next, we've got the submissions and deadlines. Now, we're going to go through some deadlines. These are what they're going to be going forward from April 2026. So the dates you're going to see now, they're not reflecting right this second. So don't worry if you about missing anything. So the update periods for the quarterlies are default aligned to the tax year. So for example, someone for the first quarterly update period is going to be the 6th of April to the 5th of July. And this is known as standard update periods. If your business has an accounting period aligned to the 31st of March, you will be able to report based on calendar update periods. All other businesses should use the standard periods. The submission deadline is the 7th following of the following month, so 1 month and 2 days after the standard update period. And the calendar quarters will also follow the same rules, so 1 month and 2 days after the end of the period. Moving on to the final tax return and when you'll pay. The deadline is the same as self-assessment submission. So today it is the 31st of January following the tax year. So that means if you are following the standard update periods, it gives you from April till the following January to make any final adjustments and claim any applicable relief. So the date that you submit and pay is staying the same, so nothing is changing in that aspect. So let's have a look at the whole picture from start to finish. So we've got this taxpayer here, so let's call him Joe Bloggs. Joe Bloggs has 2 businesses, 1 UK property solely owned that he rents out, and then he has a property that he shares with his brother where he'll also have a shared rental income. He adheres to the standard periods, so they're aligned with the tax year. He will also digitally record income and expenses for each business that he owns. And then he'll also have a property that he rents out. So he'll then submit quarterly reports. And when you do quarterly reports for your properties, you can combine those together. So you just do one set of quarterly reports for the multiple properties that he has. Once all the updates have been submitted, you will enter the end of year process, which is where you'll make any final adjustments and allowances. So this could be interest or dividend income, capital gain or claim for marriage allowance, essentially anything that's on your tax return now that sits outside of the self-employment and property pages. Now, I just want to remind you, all of these adjustments can be done throughout, and you do not have to wait until the end to make any of these adjustments. Finally, by the 31st of January, you will then submit your final tax return. At this point, all you're doing is just confirming the information that you've already sent to HMRC is correct and accurate to the best of your knowledge, meaning HMRC can give you a more accurate estimation of your tax liability. If you miss any of the above deadlines, penalty points will apply. Under the new penalty regime, you will accrue points for late submissions and late payments, and this will translate into monetary fines once a certain number of points have been accrued. Again, if you are going to do our course, we've got more detailed information all about the penalties. We've got a whole section in our course about that as well. So hopefully this gives you more clarity on what you can expect from Making Tax Digital for income tax. If you are already entering your records digitally, you're already halfway there. It's the in-year process that has changed. But again, all the software is doing is taking your category totals based on what you have entered into the software that needs to be sent quarterly. Your tax return is just clarifying what you have already sent. It's just spreading out the workload rather than having to do it all in one go in the January. Okay, so let's go into planning, preparations and actions. So another key impact of MTD is that taxpayers, like yourselves, sole traders, landlords, may want or need to use more than one agent for self-assessment. So you might want to take some time to consider whether you want to engage with an agent, so like a bookkeeper or an accountant, if you don't have one already. Now, you might not be sure whether you want to use one. That's fine, but you might want to use it for a bookkeeper. You might want to use them for quarterly updates. You might want to use another agent for the end of year tax return. And then landlords may have a specialised agent for their property business and a different agent for the remainder of their submissions. HMRC have committed to providing a solution ahead of April 2026 that will allow a taxpayer to have more than one authorised agent. So we can't tell you whether or not that you need multiple agents, or if you want to use one. It's up to you how much of the process you're willing to do and which areas you may need support with. Here at Sage, we have an accountants directory where you can find accountants and bookkeepers who are familiar with our Sage products. There is even a map view with on our site, so you can find one in your local area. If you have the handout downloaded, if you click on the accounts directory button in the top right, that's going to take you to that website. So would definitely recommend checking that out. And like I say, you can have the conversation with those agents and discuss whether that is a need. Okay, so moving the digital dial on your MTD plans. So these are just some steps that we've outlined, to plan and prepare for MTD for income tax. So first we have eligibility. So you want to determine if you need to use MTD for income tax, understand your income for the required periods to understand if you are over the income threshold, and will need to comply with MTD next year, or the year after, or the year after that. If you are close to the threshold and you need to monitor this closely, then you may need to do that for when you do cross the threshold. So next we have digital record keeping. So ensure you have a system in place to keep digital records of your business income and expenses. So this involves using compatible software to create and maintain these records and submit your information to HMRC. Next, you want to plan and manage your time effectively to ensure you are ready to get your quarterly updates submitted on time and avoid penalties. Next, we have software. So you want to choose MTD compatible software that suits your business needs. Many software providers offer solutions that can help you comply with the new requirements. Again, I can see the question come through. We are going to be covering some solutions from us and what we can offer you. So don't forget to stay tuned for that as well. We are going to be covering that in this session. Next, we've got the multiple agents. So now that you understand what your obligations are under MTD and the work that's involved, to take the time and consider whether you want to engage with an agent, a bookkeeper, or an accountant. So don't forget to check out that link that I did provide on your handout. Next, you want to, training. Consider training yourself and or your staff to ensure everyone is familiar with the new digital process and how to use any new software. And we've got plenty of training, free training online to support you with that as well. Next, we have the voluntary sign up. So you can sign up for MTD for income tax before it becomes mandatory. And this is the HMRC public beta that we have going on at the moment. So this can help you get accustomed to the new system and iron out any issues earlier. So HMRC have already launched this beta. So I'm going to talk about this later on again in the session. So bear with me on that one. Lastly, you want to stay informed. So any further, you want to keep up to date with any further announcements or changes to MTD for income tax requirements. The government may provide additional guidance as the implementation date approaches. And you can see the further support section for some useful links that we're going to provide to you as well. Now, you might be wondering, well, what solutions can Sage offer you at this point? So some of the solutions we offer at the moment are on our cloud-based product. Now I'm going to talk too much on these because, like I say, you can investigate. I'm going to provide links and you'll be able to read up on them. And I'm not going to talk about pricing either. I just want to make you aware of the products that are currently available to you. So firstly, we have Sage Individual as a whole. So we've got Individual free, and then we do have a paid version as well. Sage Individual free, you can manage your income and expenses, you can do the self-employed income tax summary, and you can record receipts. And you also get access to a free mobile app as well. Then we have Sage Individual. So this has got access to more features, so this is why you would pay for this option. So you can manage income and expenses, self-employed, income tax summary, record receipts manually, manage sales invoices. You also get access to the app. You can also do snap and scan receipts, auto-categorize expenses, connect to multiple bank accounts. You also get 10 gigabytes of document storage. And you also get access to web chat and community support. And that is, web chat is we have got actual humans on there because I know a lot of people like to speak to somebody. So that is also available to you. The next level up from these two products is we've got Sage Accounting. So this is 3 variants, and I'll quickly mention these. So we have Start, Standard, and Plus. So obviously, the more the higher up the variant you go, the more you're going to get access to. And again, I'm not going to go into details on these ones, as there are numerous additional features that you can get access to on the product. So when you start to look for solutions with Sage, these are your starting points. So again, we have Sage Individual, which is the very basics to get your transactions recorded digitally, to be able to submit your quarterly updates to HMRC. And you will be able to submit your final tax return on these, on Sage Individual as well. Then we have Sage Accounting, where there are 3 different levels based on how you're wanting to process in the software, how many more features you want to get access to. These products as well, in Sage Accounting, you also get access to AI features as well, providing insights and even more automation. So to summarise, what we can offer is software to keep you compliant. And again, with Sage Accounting, you have access to that mobile app, you can process on the go. With our products, you can also capture receipts and invoices to automate your processing. Some of our products as well, you can track invoices, you can forecast your cash flow, you can run management reports and see how your business is performing. We offer free training and support. Really want to stress that it's free. Take advantage of it. Just like today's session, we're also offering a free course on Sage University. And we also offer world-class technical support. We do have a Making Tax Digital for Income Tax hub if you wish to check it out. So I'll quickly show you that now. So this is our Making Tax Digital hub. You can get reminders for the deadline for the 6th of April next year. And you can come in here and you can find all about MTD. And on this as well is where you're going to find more about the software options that we have as well. So if you scroll down, this is where you're going to find your software options. So you can get accounting for individuals, and then you've got the accountants and bookkeepers as well. So really make sure you check out that hub, as it has got links to our software as well. Now at the moment, HMRC do have a beta running, as I've mentioned before. And that beta is taking place on our Sage Accounting product, which is still in development as we work with participants to make MTD for income tax journey as smooth as possible. So bear with us on that one. Other products like Sage 50 Accounts will be ready in time for the launch of phase 1 in April 2026. So just keep an eye out for any communication if that is the product that you use. can see someone says that they can't hear me. I just want to double check that the sound has come back. Not sure at what point this technical issue has arisen. Bear with me just a moment. Bear with me one moment. Okay, so I have confirmed that sound has come back. So apologies about that. Not sure at what point the sound did cut off there. So I'll just go through this slide again just to be sure. So bear with me a moment. So it will mean that you need to right, so it is this slide, right? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the beta began in April this year, but you can join the private beta at any point during the tax year. Just because April has passed doesn't mean you can't participate. So it will mean that you will need to submit quarterly information retrospectively. Free to leave the beta at any point. So you can join, submit quarterly updates, but decide that you want to revert to the old self-assessment process. You can. Whilst HMRC wouldn't encourage this, the option is there. If you want to join the beta, you will be subject to the new MTD for income tax penalty regime. Again, this is not going to amount to any monetary fines. You will not get any late submission points you won't get any penalty points for late missing quarterly updates during the testing phase. So the regime is there, but you're not going to be fined any monetary values or anything like that. If you join the beta, you will have access to HMRC's dedicated MTD customer support team to help you successfully transition to MTD for income tax and handle any issues. The team can also support you and your agent with any of your some of your wider personal tax affairs, so individual PAYE and self-assessment matters. For the current tax year, for participating agents, the extended support will be available for all clients in the MTD beta. In order to join the beta, which is free, as I can clarify, I know one of the questions has just come through, so the beta is free. You must sign up to MTD and have software that is MTD compatible. The MTD sign-up process is done by the government website and can be done by the taxpayer or by their agent, but the agent must have an agent services account. So if we pop to the next slide. So I have provided some links on this guide as well, on this slide particularly. So I'm not going to go through the whole criteria. I will leave you to do that in your own time. However, what I will say is there is some must-haves, some things that you can have, and some things that mean that you will not qualify for the beta. I have provided a guide that has all the steps. So the steps, so the guide on the left, the little button there, volunteer for the beta. This is going to give you links on how to register on the HMRC website. And then once you have registered on the HMRC website, the guide also then tells you what you need to do once you have your software. The link on the right, sorry. So get clients registered for HMRC beta. So if you are an accountant or an agent or a bookkeeper and you're wanting to get your clients registered, that video is going to walk you through the steps. So it's an instructional video on how to get your clients registered for the beta. Okay, so now we're going to go through some important questions answered. We have had quite a few questions coming through, so we'll go through some of these, and they might answer the question that you might already have coming up. So first question, can I just carry on using spreadsheets? So only if they link to compatible bridging software that can submit your figures to HMRC digitally. Manual entry and copying and pasting will not be allowed. Will I need to pay every quarter? So this is one of the biggest myths about MTD, that sole traders need to do 4 year ends in a year and now have to pay 4 times a year. But this is not the case. When you pay remains the same. Does HMRC want to see all my accounting data? No. MTD does not require you to submit more data, but it does change how often you report it. Instead of a single annual return, you now need to send quarterly updates. With Making Tax Digital, will I pay more tax? So HMRC state that Making Tax Digital is to close the gap, the tax gap, and the avoidable errors and fraud. If you've been completing your tax returns correctly, then Making Tax Digital shouldn't mean you pay any more or less tax. A question that has come through on our questions panel here, I just want to pick this up. So people are asking, well, what is the beta? So the beta is almost like a testing phase. You work with our developers and things like that to try and identify the smoothest journey for it when you are submitting for income tax. So it's part of you getting used to the legislation that HMRC have set out, but also as well you can get used to using the software as well before it needs to become compliant. So let's summarise that information that we have covered today. So the first phase begins in April 2026 for those earning over 50,000. This process is for sole traders and landlords. Income is assessed 2 tax years before the tax year in question. Transactions will be recorded digitally and submitted via compatible software. You will submit 4 quarterly updates and a final tax return. Adjustments can be made throughout the year or at year end. Landlords need 1 report per quarter, no matter how many properties. You can register for the beta ahead of mandation in April 2026. So I have included some links down the right hand side there. So we've got the MTD Income Tax Hub. I've provided the HMRC guidance, and also as well, if you've got your handout downloaded, we've got me and my colleague Duncan. We did some myth busting, some of the common myths that have been floating around around MTD for income tax. So we've got the 2 videos, part 1 and part 2. They're no longer than 2 minutes long, so I definitely recommend checking those out as well. Now what I want to do is I just want to launch, if you want to be contacted with more details on software, I'm going to pop just a poll on your screen there. So if you would like more details on software solutions and prices for your business, your businesses, if you're a landlord, if you can pop an answer in there. If you don't want to be contacted, that's fine, just hit no. If you do want to be contacted for further information and pricing and things like that, do please pop your votes in there for me. And we're going to wait until we get around 70-75%. Again, this is optional, but we want those who are interested, we can reach out to you separately. So if you pop an answer in there for me, so we can collect some of those answers. So we'll just give it a little bit longer for those to vote. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll close this down at this point. If you haven't had a chance to vote on the poll, just reach out to us if you want to reply to your registration email when you register for this session. If you can reply to that if you don't get a chance to vote on there. Okay, so as I've mentioned at the start of the webinar, this webinar has been quite top level in comparison to our course, and although it might not feel like it, we do have an in-depth course on Sage University that you can complete at your leisure. It's interactive, and you can also earn a digital badge by completing the course. You can share this on your email signature or even on your social media like LinkedIn. If you want to get registered on your handout, if you just click the link that says click here, you can get registered for that course. And don't forget, it's completely free if you want to do that in your own time. Okay, so what we'll do now is I'm just going to give you the last opportunity now to get some of your questions through. I can see we've still got some there. Again, we might not be able to answer every single question on today's session. So do please bear with us, and we will try and reach out after the session has ended. Now, just while we're waiting for any of those last questions to come through, just want to do something a little bit different. It does relate to sole traders and landlords. So some of you may be aware that we have recently announced a partnership with the EFL, which for those of you who aren't avid football fans, that is the English Football League. So we're working alongside Gary Neville, and we want to show support and shine a light on all those small businesses that rally around and show up for your local team. We have a great competition going on at the moment where you can actually nominate either yourself or another small business. So the prizes include the 3 grand prize winners will win a sponsorship package worth up to £40,000 to either their local EFL Championship, League One or League Two club. 3 nominators will win a VIP matchday experience for 2 people at their local EFL club for just nominating a verified local business. And lastly, as well, we have complimentary Sage professional products and EFL tickets as well. So 69 highly commended small businesses will receive 2 EFL tickets to their local club and complimentary Sage products and an induction by the Sage team as well. So don't leave your local businesses on the bench, give them a game. So if you've got your handout downloaded, you can find out more by clicking the Find Out More button. If you wish to enter the competition or nominate a business, click Enter Now and it will take you to the relevant page. Okay, so we have slightly run over at that point just because of the technical issues that we did have, so apologies about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up today's session. So please feel free to stay around if you are waiting for an answer to a question, but just a reminder, we're not going to be able to answer all of those questions today. If you've got what you need today and you want to leave the session, you are going to receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. Upon exiting the session today, you are going to see a survey at the end. If you could please let us know any feedback on how I've done today on today's session. what you liked about the webinar, what we think we could do better next time. We always like to read every single comment on there. But remember, today's session is on this topic, and it's all about breaking down the guidance that has been set out by HMRC. Okay, so just a little reminder of that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this session up. I want to say thank you to my colleagues who've been on hand today to answer your questions, and thank you to you all for your participation. Just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks. So again, if you want to get your colleagues on this, or you want to share this webinar, we have got other dates. So if they want to sign up for a future webinar, then they can also do that as well. So don't be shy and get registered for our other sessions as well. So I want to say another thank you and take care.